In this video, we are going to be analysing Tesla, ticker TSLA. We can see it is down by its 52-week low at around $200. We're currently sitting at 207. So seeing this stock fall, another 3.5% isn't unlikely and would take us down to that 52-week low. So what are going to be key levels of both support and resistance? But right now we're more focused on the support side of things if we continue lower. So at $200 flat, basically, this is going to be a strong level and a hard level to break, because again, we have been consolidating kind of on this level before. We're still kind of in this range of consolidation, but again, we are testing it once more. So if we start to, right now this is support, also it's our first deviation on the 6-month chart. So do be noting that 52-week low, psychological level, and first deviation. So a lot of strong support, but if we do break this, expect it to be quite harsh. And the reason I say that is going to be a lot of stops coming in this area. Really, if we break kind of this probably 197.50, I think that's where a lot of stops will be. If we hit that level, we will most likely do a really harsh snap down on that day. So do be watching for that. If we break that, do be looking at a bit more short bias, at least in the short term. But there is one good sign. I mean, it does seem like the downward momentum is getting weaker. At least there is a divergence on the 6-month chart. But again, if markets continue weak, that won't be holding it all that well, and we probably will break. And again, a lot of this is off the Tesla news, off the Twitter news. Obviously, Elon Musk has now taken ownership of Twitter. Not a great thing for the stockholders. Very overvalued, I think, for the value they bought it, and I think that's what a lot of investors are thinking as well, and that's why they're now a bit more hesitant on Tesla. But again, if we break that level, definitely possible, we are going to more than likely snap down. And really that target I would be looking for is 184, and really I could see this happening within the day. So yeah, if we break kind of this 197.50, this is where I think the stops will trigger, and we should sell off quite harsh. I could see it doing about 6.5-7% in that day. So be watching for that, but this is where I do think you will be seeing investors and traders start taking it long coming into this level. Now, if we break that and we continue even lower, I am looking at the 160 level. Going low will be 135, and final levels taking us to 118. We got 77, 87, and $39. Now, so you don't need to pay attention to all of these supports. Really, the only things I would be focusing on now is really these two. If we break this 200, there is a good and high probability that we will push down to this 185. Anyway, we would expect it to get to there. If you break 200, that's where you expect the move to go to. But really, I can see this move happening very quickly, again, within the day or push 2 days. But I think stops will trigger and we will basically just crash down on that news. Or the break of that level. Now though, onto the resistance side, if we start pushing up, what are we paying attention to? So we do have statistical means at 232 and 242. Now these aren't levels that we tend to trade off of, but they are levels we look to trade to. So by that I mean if you are long, or if you did get long on the original tap of this deviation, again our target would have been this 232. And this is why we usually look for stocks which are a bit more oversold, because then you can get much better risk to reward. And by that I just mean, getting them down at the second deviation, because then you have all that upside, and again you can still have a relatively tight stop. So there's just more better risk to reward the further deviation is out. But either way, this will usually always be our target, because the way we look at these statistical means is this is where we expect the stock to reverse to. When you use standard deviation, it is a mean reversion way of looking at stocks. So again, this is where you expect the stock to reverse to. We've seen in this case, if we break lower, again, even if we hit this 184, in time we still expect it to reverse to this statistical mean. So that is what kind of our targets would be. But again, we don't look to trade off of these. So if you were looking to take this stock more short bias, we would really be waiting for a break above it. And again, these can be used as targets. So if you're holding through the 242, looking to trade it long, you're holding through, our target is then going to be 280, 283. But this is also a level where we can start being more bearish on the stock. So by bearish, I mean, again, if you're long, it's a reason to maybe be locking in profits. But also, if you aren't holding any shares, or you are long but looking to maybe reverse your position, this is where we would start to turn more short bias. Again, it doesn't mean you have to go full size short. What we do is you can look to trade this really in two key ways. Either look to short the initial pullback, because that's usually what happens off these levels. You come into them, you expect to see a pullback. This doesn't mean though this is going to be a reversal back to statistical mean. It just means we expect a pullback, and then we may break higher, and if so, you want to see a break above, come back to test it as a support, and if it holds, there is a good indication we will go higher. and that will be 323/328 as our next target, and going higher would be 365, 377, and final levels at 406 and 426. Now again, you don't need to pay attention to all of these levels. Yes, there is a lot of them. All you pay attention to is where we are now. We're currently at 209. Really the only thing we pay attention to then is $200 and 232, because these are our two closest levels. If we start breaking the 232 and the 242, then your target goes to 280. On the other hand, if we break $200, then your main focus will be 185, because that's where we expect the move to go to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown on Tesla. If you did, why not drop me a like and subscribe, and check out one of these two analysis videos.